Hi, my name is Pika Unfiltered, and on today's video I decided to do a bit of an introduction video of me, the person behind the voice, behind my poetry. Might make you guys want to know a bit better about me, and if not, then you could just skip this video. Well, you're not obligated to stay, so yeah. My name is Pika Unfiltered. I am 22 years old. I was born on 2nd March 1998, and I am a Pisces. A bit of a dreamer. I have a lot of things in mind. I have a lot of things that I want to do, that I want to achieve. But I also have this thing that I am quite indisciplined. So half of the things that I have in mind is so hard for me to follow through. So I'm trying to make this YouTube thing consistent, and I'm going to do my best to keep it interesting and write better poetry and come up with ideas that will incorporate better with my poetry, so it'll be in sync and everyone could relate to it in some sort of way. I love it when people, this poetry reminds me of doing this something, and I think the details to the video is very important too, like the background music and then the sound that goes well with the gifs. I think a lot of thoughts are put into the videos. So I couldn't have done it without Salam and Afal. He's the one who editing the videos for me, because I can never do that. I'm not the one to edit videos, and he is. And to have him as my partner, to have him helping me along the way. For now, it's been quite a great journey, because when we first started, we had a few fights that either one of us wanted to do this more than the other person. We're trying to do our best now, and I'm just trying to do my best in working on my poetry, and he just waits for me. So all the videos that he did is just brilliant, and he executes my ideas, my visions very well, and I really couldn't have done the videos by myself without him. So yeah. And the reason why I started writing poetry, I wrote words years and years ago, because I had a situation that made me stay at home. I wasn't allowed to go out, and I didn't have much friends actually. In my teens, I don't have friends. Then I moved out into a different place than the place I grew up in. So I was having the hardest time. So I started writing when I was 14, 15. I was left alone at home. So I think that's when I thought of, maybe I want to write, but I didn't think much of it. I just write down, scribble words, my feelings, my thoughts, and but not until 2 years ago, when Naufal and I started dating. And then I never showed anyone my poetry, my poems, until I showed it to him. And he's an amazing person who is also very good in English. So he helps me a lot with my grammar. He proves a lot of my writings actually. So now that it's possible for me to keep on writing, unlike before, it's because I have someone who are able to show me what I did wrong, and I couldn't have done it without him, because actually I dropped out of school when I was 14, so I don't have any proper education after that. So I self-taught myself to read books, and then I watch TVs and movies, and I listen to music. I was living through different generations, through musics, through TVs, movies, and then books, because to me then, I was like, if you can't send me to school, maybe the least my parents could do is like buy me books. It's like the least thing they could do for me. So the first book that I had was called Adorkable by Sarah Manning. I bought this because my ex-boyfriend of 14 years old had this book, and I was like, oh, I want to have one, I want to match, and so I bought this. This was my first read, but the few of my early on collection was To Kill a Mockingbird, but I think the first was like Perks of Being a Wallflower, because that book was the very reason why I bought this book. This was like my first read. And then I have this. Carrie was the hype. I remember when Chloe Grace Moretz came out, with Carrie, that edition. And then I wanted to have the Carrie book because I want, and I couldn't buy it, like the paperback copy. So I was like very sad lah. And then my dad is like, oh, here you go. And I got this. Stephen King, his first 3 novels, Carrie, Salem's Lot, and then The Shining. It's like a Bible. It's thick. And I love it. Yeah, funny thing is, I don't watch The Shining, though, but I do love Doctor Sleep, and I have it. I love the Doctor Sleep movie, and I think everyone should watch it. Yeah, I love everything about that movie, and it's perfect. I think that movie did justice to this novel and to the original novel too. And yeah, those were like my first reads. Also, We Can't Skip. I'm pretty sure everyone had it. I mean, who doesn't? So yeah. But my first book was like Looking for Alaska, actually, and it's still my favorite. So I had to keep myself updated with the world and everything. So I started reading. I think that's very, that's how I study my English, I guess. But I don't have any proper education after 14 years old. So yeah. I don't think I writing as wanting to be to write a whole novel. I don't think I want to write because I want to write a whole novel. I started writing because I didn't even have like any proper poetry book, actually, to be honest. I don't have any proper poetry book, so I don't know what poetry is. I didn't know what poetry is until I read that poem on The Perks of Being a Wallflower, right? So yeah, I think that was like the only thing that I knew of poetry. So it's very weird. I started writing poetry 2 years ago, but when I started, it's mostly prose, actually, and I didn't know what prose was. But I was writing like short writings rather than a long poetry. It turns out it's not a poetry, it's just prose. So that's how I learn new things. So yeah, and then I started seek out people that knows more about poetry than I do. So, and then I am just driven to write better poetry, but I'm not the type of person to actually do a manuscript or to send out my writings. I did send out one writing, and it was for GTLF this year, and I didn't win, but then, funny thing is, Adibano offered herself to read my poetry, and I was like, it was like few days after I found out I didn't win for GTLF. So, and then I had Adibano offered herself, and I sent her my GTLF poetry, and she read it on her Twitter, and on her YouTube, and on her IG. And I was like, I think I was the first person that she read poetry out loud, and now she offered herself to read more if anyone wants to send out their poetry for her to read. And if anyone wants to send out poetry to her, then go for it. Let her read your work. And I think I was very honored when she did that. I was very, very honored. I didn't know. I didn't expect it at all. Like, I didn't know what to think when it happened. Like, she offered herself to read my poem. Like, what? So yeah, I think that very moment, really pushed me to actually, maybe I should start being serious about writing. So she's like the motivation that I needed, the push that I needed. There's like, I could do more. And now that I'm back home to my mom in Perlis and my mom's in Perlis, so I decided, and I have plenty of free time, so I decided to maybe, this YouTube thing could work out, because I've been talking about YouTube thing in a while, but we couldn't actually get into it yet, because there were like a lot of things, and I was having problems in KL, like, the time just doesn't, it's not a perfect time for YouTube yet. So now I'm back home to my mom's. So, we thought maybe this is the right time. So that's how I came up with, actually, Same Old Strangers, like my months old poem. And then Allison is just, I published, I pushed it with my YouTube. Actually, I didn't put it out there yet, but I decided, maybe this is the right time to put it out there with my YouTube, because Allison was based on my favorite song of all time, Allison by Slow Dive. So, and when I, the fact that I could match it with the song and the poem, it's just, everything was so beautifully done, and everything is done by Syed Muhammad Afal. And he executes my idea, my visions very well, and I really am thankful for him. So that's how it all started. Keep doing my poetry for my YouTube channel. So because this YouTube thing has driven me to do better, to write better, actually, because originally my poetry are not meant to be read out loud. It's mostly just for you to read. But I think doing this YouTube thing, it's a challenge that I accepted for myself. A challenge that, I want to write a poetry that I could read out loud. So I decided to do just that. And who knew it's possible? I didn't know it was possible, but I also didn't know that Alibano would read my poetry. So a lot of things that I thought that it would be impossible for me to do, like reading my poetry, doing a poetry that I could read out loud. Now that I'm doing it, I think a lot of things could happen, and I think this YouTube thing could be a space for me to do more with my poetry, and then also to execute my idea to go with my poetry, visions and visuals. I don't mean virtual, I mean visuals. And I think I couldn't ask for a better partner to help me out with my YouTube. And I think this is a dream come true for me, because I'm not the type to actually, I'm not a content creator. I don't think myself as such. I don't have any aim of becoming famous or anything. I guess I just want my voice to be heard, which is literally, because my video, it only consists of me with my voice. So so I want my voice to be heard, and I want people to know me through my words, though though it's not the best you've read or anything you've heard. But I think I'm doing my best every day to do better, to write better, I'm just like now motivated to do better lah. Because before this I was like very close to giving up. Well, every time actually I'm like very close to giving up every time, and now there's no way I could give up now, because there's so much I need to do and that I haven't done yet. So this is not the time to quit. So I'm gonna do the best I can, and I truly appreciate all the supports and the love that I've received. I always think it's not much, but I think it's enough for me for now. For now, it's enough. It really is, and I'm so thankful that there were like people who accepted very well, who understands me, who understands my vision, who liked my visions, who like how everything's just in sync with each other, the video, the poem, and then the visual and everything. I'm thankful that people liked it, that some people too liked it, and I'm just doing my best every day. And do stay tuned for more. I'm gonna do my best to come up with good poetry only, no rooms for terrible poetry. So yeah, thank you for everything. I appreciate the love, and I'm going to do more. And don't wait up. I mean, do wait, because I have a lot in store, and I'm gonna do my best. Thank you for staying. Also, do like, subscribe, and what else? Share. Yeah, do share my poetry. I want to be heard. That's all. Bye. See you guys soon. I'm gonna be posting videos more.